I think, and I believe that there's one big mistake we made in 1994. And that one big mistake is that we failed to define properly what being a South African means. We failed to define properly what are the ingredients, what are the characteristics, what are the things that define who a South African is. And I make this example a number of times, and I say a nation cannot be defined simply by a rainbow, because that's what we did in 1994. We said we are a rainbow nation. If you are a rainbow, that's all. You are about just colors. It's just about colors. The world is bigger than colors. The world is much more complex than colors. We were lazy when we said we are a rainbow nation. So what should we have done? I think we should have defined ourselves properly and decided what is it that will define being a South African. What would you then require to form part of this nation called South African? It is those things, once we've defined them, that will then trigger what we need to do to realize this being a South African. So, for example, let's take the US. They say the US is the land of opportunity. If you show up, you will make it. Every American believes that if they show up, they will make it, that their country is there for those who show up. So that is why many Americans believe in themselves so much. They believe in themselves because their country has told them they need to show up. You look at the Asian economies, you look at China, you look at Singapore, you look at many of the countries in Asia. They have defined very clearly who they are. So for me, I think the solution has to come first with South Africa defining what it means to be a South African. Is it okay to be lazy when you are a South African? Part of us defining who we are will mean whether we accept that we are lazy or we don't accept that we are lazy. Do we accept that we work hard? Part of defining ourselves will mean that we either accept that we work hard or we don't accept that we work hard. What are the things that then we teach our children, ourselves, as South African, in terms of this process of self-definition, of being a South African? So therefore, I think the solution number one in this problem, because if you look at this problem of the public sector and the difficulties that we have in the public sector of not being able to execute, they are not unique in the public sector. They cut across the entirety of our nation. So that's why I'm saying the solution must start with us defining what it means to be a South African. So maybe then let me give you an example. So suppose we say to be South African means you love your country, and to love your country means you utilize its resources to the benefit of everyone. It means you develop yourself to be able to utilize these resources to the benefit of everyone. It means you work hard to make sure that these resources are properly utilized to the benefit of everyone. It means that in the way you work hard, you take care of your family and your children, and you take responsibility for the raising of your own children and for the adults that they become in future, so that you are able to transfer this working hard of utilizing resources, of developing yourselves, that your children can embody the same values, the same principles. So I'm just roughly saying you have a suite like that. Then it means everything we do is about that. And you are either in as a South African or you are out on the basis of the extent to which you embody these principles and values. So it means that if I wake up and I say I want to be CEO of ESCOM, but I've never maintained a power station, somebody will then ask, you must be not a South African. For you to think you can be a CEO of ESCOM without the knowledge, without the skills, without the experience, you must be a foreigner. Are you sure that you are a South African? So then we call people out. We call people out. We say to a minister, Minister, how did you accept to be appointed as a minister of finance when you have never managed any finance in your life anywhere else? You have not even proven that you are capable of managing your own personal finances at home. Yet you have accepted to be appointed as a minister of finance. It must be that you are not a South African, because it's un-South African for a person to do what you're doing. And then we go on and on and on and on and on in calling each other out, because we would have defined what it means to be a South African. And anything else that falls outside that definition can't be South African. Then we do the same with our children. We do the same with the celebrities that are doing funny things that we see in the media. We do the same thing with all these politicians in Johannesburg that are doing funny things. We call people out because we would have defined what it means to be a South African. So once you have a nation that rallies around a very clear definition of what it means to be part of that nation, because you see, the beauty about defining this thing is that even if you were born in Zimbabwe and you are naturalized as a South African, you will know to be naturalized as a South African, these are the things I have to embody. So even when you tell people, actually, I only came to South Africa 5 years ago, they will say, no, 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 that doesn't make sense. Because the way you carry yourself, the things you're doing are South African. So you look, sound, behave like a South African, even though you were born in Zimbabwe. So I think in as far as coming up with a solution, the solution has to be broader than just the public sector. It has to be a South African solution. These problems that we are trying to solve in the public sector, these are shortcut solutions. You can't change 40-year-old men and women. Anybody who is in the public sector, by the time they become part of the public sector, the damage is already done. There are no 10-year-olds in the public sector. All of those people are adults. We are trying to solve adults. It is not going to work. It is not going to be sustainable. We do it as a stopgap. It's an emergency button, but it's not a permanent solution for the future. So the permanent solution lies in our society as a whole.